Ladies, gentlemen, Marks and Marquettes, welcome to the Throwing the Book podcast. Yes, a brand new wrestling podcast because, let's face it guys, there aren't enough of those. I mean, clearly it's a market that's begging to have some more things in it. It's just empty. There's none I can think of. None whatsoever. That's completely thrown me off. But anyway, yes, Throwing the Book podcast. I am your host, Sean Howe, and before we get on to the actual point of this show, the fantasy booking part, which you'd know if you read the logo, I will just want to address a couple of things before we set off. Firstly, if there's background noise, I apologise for that. I can't really do much. Where I live, at the back we have a car menders, and at the front we have somebody who's, well, we don't know why, but they're drilling into the pavement, which is not ideal, but it's what we're having to work with. Secondly, I want this podcast to be roughly once a week. I mean, I can't promise that by any means, because I don't even want to give myself deadlines. But around once a week, we will have a new episode coming up. I've got a lot of ideas for fantasy booking, and the general thing is that we'll try and keep to what's going on in the realm of WWE. Can look back and rebook things from there, of course, but typically I want to book things into the future because the possibilities are endless. I don't know what that was. I'll probably cut that. But and thirdly, we're going to start this off on YouTube and hopefully move on to other podcast providers like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, etc. and get them out of the way. I originally had plans for this podcast to have like loads of like little segments, little things to sum up. We're on SmackDown, bits with, I don't know, wrestlers on social media, stuff like that. But those aren't quite what's the word I'm looking for? Wedged in the right places yet. That wasn't the word I was looking for, but I'm going to go for it. And they will arrive in due time. But I just kind of wanted to strike while the iron was hot. Speaking of Kofi Kingston, I wouldn't have thought that the first episode of a fantasy booking thing would involve Kofi Kingston, but here we are. Through some admittedly very good booking and, let's be honest, a concussion to Mustafa Ali, Kofi Kingston is suddenly one of the hottest things in the WWE right now. And everybody wants to see him go to WrestleMania. I do, you do. The person who you know who doesn't watch wrestling at all, he secretly does. He does. Or she. They do. And, well, it's very surreal, I find. If you'd have said about a year ago that you thought that the best main event for WrestleMania 30, whatever it is, 35, I should really know that, but oh well, would be Daniel Bryan, who in this hypothetical situation a year ago was a man who had retired, versus Kofi Kingston, a man who was a perennial mid-carder, although very entertaining with the New Day, you'd have been taken out to the streets with a sinister-looking woman with a bell and told to be shamed. Or at least I think that's how the internet works. I'm not entirely sure. Now, for those unaware, essentially, Mustafa Ali got a concussion, as I said earlier, and he had to be taken out of the Elimination Chamber match, which was really sad. It's a big shame for him. It would have been great. Imagine what was it called? 054 on top of one of the pods. I mean, mad. But we didn't get to see that. Instead, what we got to see was the absolute Iron Man performance, 2 in a row in fact, from Kofi Kingston. And it's weird because if you'd probably ask a kind of Smark or someone like that, who would be the person you would push in the New Day, they'd have probably said either Big E, because he's very good at what he does, or Xavier Woods, who's a brilliant underdog. You wouldn't really choose Kingston. But the fact that they did is one of those few things where the WWE do kind of, it shows that they understand what they're doing, because oftentimes it is easy to forget that they do, because it's a masterstroke playing on the whole fact that Kingston was essentially a mid-carder, somebody who nearly got a push but but got shut down and was stuck in the kind of perennial scene of just occasionally being in a tag team. Oh, there's a mid-card title. Oh, you're in another tag team. But he got himself over. And he got his mates over as well. That's a bit of a weird way of putting it, but I'm going to go with it. And he's been there for 11 years. He deserves this. We all want to see him succeed. So, essentially, if we're trying to book this, we're essentially just thinking, well, how do we make it so it succeeds? And that's really easy. And it's less of a case of, I don't trust the WWE to book this, which most of the ones going in the future probably would be. It's more that I feel like they know that they should. And they know what to do to book it properly. But we just need to see if they do or not. Because it makes the most logical sense, but if you've watched WWE for more than 5 minutes, you will know that logic is long gone. I don't even know where it is. It's put out missing posters on a lamppost, everything. Logic is just gone. Can't find it. So Sean, I hear you cry. What are you going to do with this storyline? Well, I'll give you a brief overview, and then we'll get on to the main thing. I feel like there should be a transition here. And I could put one in, but that would be effort. So, there you go. That's transition. Decoded transition. Why not? Oh, and by the way, also this podcast doesn't have like a theme or anything. That thing at the beginning, that was meant to be the New Day's theme. Didn't really work. I realised I did actually get a wrong note. But I mean, am I going to change it? No. But I realised it doesn't sound that much. Or actually, maybe I could. Just to stimulate your imagination. Oh, insert down here. Don't you dare be sour. Clap for your world famous 5-time champs and feel the power. There you go. That's for you. It's a gift from me to you. And I still haven't got to the overview bit. So, essentially, we have Kofi. Right now, he won a 6-man tag, pinning Daniel Bryan, and he is going to face Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. And basically what we're going to do is go from here, we're going to take this storyline to WrestleMania, and then actually a little bit beyond, because I've got a mad idea. And it's not going to go too far beyond. In fact, it's only going to go one pay-per-view. I don't know what the actual next pay-per-view after Mania is. It might be Backlash. Don't quote me on that. Well, especially don't quote me on that, because that's getting eerily close to an old running joke from Wrestle Ramble. But anyway, so yes, we're going to go from now to whatever the next pay-per-view is, and we're going to book. Well, next pay-per-view after Mania is. And we're going to book it. And you might be thinking, well, why are you going one pay-per-view ahead? Well, spoiler alert for what I say later on. As good as Kofi is, and as much as he deserves the title reign, WWE right now is chock-a-block with people that are almost stars. Almost. But not quite. And there's a lot of people, particularly in say the developmental brand, there's a big bit of foreshadowing. It'd be really helpful if I remember the word foreshadowing, but there's some foreshadowing for what's going to happen. They need to have that belt probably more than Kofi, simply because there's more value in them. So we're going to give Kofi a reign, of course we are. But it isn't going to be massively long, if you catch my drift. And please, don't be mad at me. It's just my opinion, which is something that could probably be scratched on all of the walls of all of the internet websites anywhere, and nobody would listen. But I'm just gonna go for it. So, why don't we get on with it? Good question, me. Let's go. There's another transition for you. D-chord, why not? Stands for deal with it. And that wasn't a good joke. So, where are we? Well, as I said, we've just finished SmackDown. And Kofi is the number one contender. Now, personally, if I'd have been booking this, I'd have not had Kofi face Bryan here. I'd have had him want to, but either get shut down or get distracted by other things, and then making his intentions known for Mania. But I'm going to deal with the cards that I've been dealt. So, we went in the lead up to Fastlane. Do I know how many weeks it is? No, because I could do research, but in a phrase which is increasingly sounding like a catchphrase, that would be effort. And it would be effort, because hypothetically, I could have put the actual New Day's theme at the beginning of this, but I didn't, because that would be effort. So, we're building up to Fastlane. You've got Bryan with Big Red Boy, Eric Rowan, or just Rowan, because names are hard. And you've got the New Day. And these guys should absolutely be part of this program, essentially acting as backups. They're going to brawl a bit, to the point where they're going to be banned from ringside for the match. Because, I mean, that's just a logical place to go. They'll probably be told by an authority figure. Oh wait, no, it's a new era. There aren't authority figures. So they're told by an omnipotent voice that the backups are going to be banned. And we're not, basically, in this build-up, we're not going to have any matches. Basically, both Bryan and Kofi are just having either video packages or promos. And I feel like one thing you could do is, I think Bryan, when he's talking, he should bring up the failures that Kofi's had. He said about how he was just weirdly Jamaican for the first couple of years and then that just went away, or how he's been in so many kind of pointless tag teams, not including the New Day. They're not pointless, but did you remember him with Evan Bourne and him with R-Truth? Both of them were tag team champions, but nobody cares. So you should kind of bring that up, and you should, and just, essentially just being a dick, because that's what you've got to be over here. You've got to be a dick. So basically, Bryan B's dick. We're putting it, but Bryan is doing all that lovely heel shenanigans, and Kofi in these sort of promos and things, he should actually bring up a lovely little subtle thing about this storyline, and that is how similar Bryan's journey to the title at WrestleMania 30 was to Kofi now. Both of them had been in the company for a long time. Both of them had been seen mainly as mid-carders. Both of them had been held down, and both of them, using fan support, are going to the and for this one, quotes, main event. I mean, we all know what the main event is really going to be. And admittedly, I realise that when I say that, Daniel Bryan was actually in the main event of WrestleMania 30, but you know what I mean. And Kofi should say that yeah, I understand that you've got this new Daniel Bryan thing, but you should be able to see how simple? I'll do that again. Yeah, you've got this new Daniel Bryan thing going on, but you should be able to see how similar we are. And yes, you were held back as much as I was held back, but I didn't get fired on my first day in the company. And you did, and you seem to take that for granted. You take these people for granted, the people who brought you here, etc. Basically, did I write that down? No, because I could have a script, but say it with me now. That would be effort. So promo packages, things, all of that. We don't have them in the ring because, quite frankly, Kofi's been in the ring enough. He's done a load. Like, I'd be really tired. Like, so tired. So anyway, we get to Fastlane. There you got Bryan versus Kofi. And now, I could kind of try and go with separate spots from the match. the things that would go on, as many fantasy bookers before and since have done. But I'm not going to, because, well, let me put it to you this way. Do I think that that in certain situations I could do a better job than WWE Creative has? Yes, somehow. Do I believe that I could put together a better match than Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston? No, that's not for me. That's not where I land. I mean, if I did, then quite frankly, you would not be able to hear any of the background noises or anything from the Empire. Sorry, now I don't know if you heard that, but the moment that I say background noises, a car honks his horn. That threw me off a bit. But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, if I did think that, then you wouldn't actually be able to hear me through the podcast, because it'll be muffled, because my head would be so far up my own arse. I'm not that kind of guy, believe it or not. Trust me, I wouldn't lie. I definitely wouldn't lie. Anyway, so basically, we're not going to talk about spots happened in the match, but what we are going to do is talk about the finish. And that is, well, there's only one place it's going to go. Bryan's going to win. And he's going to win because, oh boy, that pesky little Luke Harper, or Harper, because names are hard, comes in because, he's not one of the eco beard guys, even though we could all see it coming. So he can come down however he likes. Preferably he come down in a slightly more dramatic way than Rowan did in the match with Styles, where he just looked like he was lost. So hopefully he kind of runs in from the crowd and hits the discus clothesline, because it's always cool to see. Come on, Luke Harper's good. Eric Rowan isn't as good, but Luke Harper's good. And Daniel Bryan is still your WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He holds up the belt with the woods and the hem. By the way, I don't get why it's wood. Because metal biodegrades as well. I understand why you want to get rid of the leather, as the whole I'm a vegan, I'm better than you shtick. But the metal surely, metal is a natural thing. You do have to forge it, yeah, but it's not exactly killing the planet. I mean, I may be wrong. If I'm completely ignorant to environmental things, then please do let me know. So anyway, Bryan is champion, being all smug, and it cuts to Kofi again, much like how it did at Elimination Chamber. And he's in the ring, and he is just dejected, because you would be. We need to give Kofi this thing, because he can't just be like, oh shucks, oh well, I'll just carry on. No, I doubt he would be, but it's an annoying thing that WWE do with their baby faces. But he's not going to do that. This loss is really going to affect Kofi, and I think a nice little powerful image could be is that technically, because they're banned from ringside, his mates from the New Day, Xavier and Big E, can't actually come back around to escort him out. I mean, I realise that hasn't stopped people before, and that's probably quite a big logical fallacy. But I just want the image of being a parallel to Elimination Chamber, but Kofi's going out on his own. I just want that. That'd be cool. Leave me be. Anyway, so now we're in the build to WrestleMania. Again, do I know how many weeks it is? No. So I'm just going to be vague. Things will happen. They will happen at certain points. But I'm not going to go week by week for this one. Because effort. So, one of the things that is most interesting about this Kofi and Daniel build is that a lot of the dirt sheets are saying that Kofi isn't the choice to face Bryan at Mania. Although it does always say if plans change. So basically, if Kofi gets even more over, which he will. So I think what we'll do for this bit is we're going to play off it a little bit. And Daniel Bryan comes out and he basically doesn't address that at all. about what happens at Fastlane. He's just saying, "I'm going to WrestleMania. Ha 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 ha. I've got my belt. It's made out of weed. Ha 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 ha. Fuck you." I mean, it's a good job I'm not gonna be able to monetize this on YouTube because oh boy. But anyway, so Brian is basically thinking of other things. And for the next couple of episodes or whatever it might be, he's basically just being a smug little dick again because he's good at it. It's surprising that somebody who's so nice in real life is so good at being a knob. How does that even work? But anyway, you've got this. So Brian's being a heel. That's not surprising. What's the New Day doing? Well, on the episode after Fastlane, and you've got the name of the pay-per-view there. Here's something. We get a surprise appearance from the US champion, R-Truth. Did you forget he'd won the US Championship? Because I did, because where the fuck has he been? Like, he's nowhere. Admittedly, it isn't exactly as bad as when Nakamura did nothing with the belt. But, I mean, like, you have a championship there. Just book it once or twice. Otherwise, what's the point in having it there? It's the one problem with the well, not the one problem, but it's the biggest problem with SmackDown's creative. Because when you compare it to Raw, it's not that bad. But then stuff like this comes up, and you're like, oh, just book him. Anyway, you put the belt on R-Truth. I know that it's not appealing, but you just have to book him. You're not going to get it off him if you don't book him. So a rant over there, slightly incoherent rant over there. But so R-Truth comes out, and because he's a nice guy. He's a bit dim, but he is a nice guy. He comes into the ring and he wants to talk to Kofi because they were tag team partners. A little bit of continuity in there, why not? And he says, "Look, I know that I could see from the back that loss hit you hard, and I want you to go to WrestleMania. So how about you come out here? We can have a match, and you can and then maybe you can go to WrestleMania in the US title match. Why not? It'll get you there. It'll be great." Of course, this isn't exactly how it works because of course the whole point of this Kofi push is that we don't want him in a US title match because he's been in them. We want him to get the big one. So then, New Day's music hits. Big E and Xavier come out. Kofi's not there. Everyone's thinking, where's Kofi? In fact, R-Truth says, "Well, I did ask for Kofi, guys. I mean, no offense, I don't hate you two, but I mean, I did ask. I'm trying to be polite here." And they say that Kofi is at home because, well, as I said, he's taken the loss hard, and we need to back that up. So Kofi's at home. He needed some time. And essentially, the New Day basically come out here and say, "Look, sorry, Kofi's not coming out. We don't know when he'll be back." He really upset him. But R-Truth says, "Oh, well, I mean, I did want a match. Like, I did say, like, you two are there. Do you all have a match?" And then essentially the two members of New Day look at each other and think, okay. And specifically Xavier Woods, not both of them, because that would be unfair. So Xavier Woods comes in. I realise if this was actually WWE and R-Truth would probably think that Xavier Woods was Kofi Kingston because, he's clearly somehow completely blind to faces, which is actually a condition you can have. I could Google it, but no, that effort and also dead air. So anyway, I'm getting really tangented here. So suddenly it's Xavier Woods versus R-Truth, and surprise, surprise, Xavier Woods beats him and is the new US champion. Big pop, and this adds a nice little bit of things in the fans' minds. Like, oh, is that going to be tension in the New Day? The fact that Xavier has got a singles title and Kofi doesn't. And he said, and Big E doesn't, which he doesn't. He doesn't have a singles title. He didn't just, I don't know, nip one. But, so he doesn't, anyway. And then, so basically, Kofi's not going to be on TV for a couple of weeks. So what we do is we take the New Day, put a focus on Xavier with that US title. He can defend it a couple of times, open challenges against whomever they so wish. And so you can still kind of keep that ball rolling. Meanwhile, Brian, remember him? He's been talking to his beard buddies, Harper and Rowan, and he says, "Hey, you two should face the Usos for the tag titles. You should." Yeah, by the way, the Usos are retaining Fastlane against what are they called? Ms. McMNS. Yeah, you two, you should go for the tag team titles because they would just go so well with your random t-shirts. Because we're heels, we don't sell actual t-shirts, unlike most other heels in the company. Just your random obscure band t-shirts, they go well. The blue on there, it look nice. So you have Harper and Rowan, and they confront the Usos and they say, "Hey, those belts, they're gonna be ours." But then suddenly, New Day music hits, and again it's Xavier and Big E coming out, and they say that we were on the phone to Kofi, and he said that he feels like he said that he wanted the focus not to be on him, but to be on us as a tag team, because that's what we're always good at. And it also there's a slight little implication there that Kofi thinks that he's letting them down. He hasn't, but that's just his mindset. And then it probably would be Shane McMahon still, even though he'd probably be in a storyline with The Miz at this point, or the omnipotent voice from earlier says, "Okay, Eco Beards, New Day, you two fight it out for number one contendership at WrestleMania. We're not going to do a triple threat. I did consider doing a triple threat to keep Harper and Rowan in the storyline, but that's literally the exact same WrestleMania tag team match as last year, and no, we're not going to do that. We don't want to repeat, because ultimately that match didn't get enough time, and it would be good, but we're not going to repeat it. So basically, so you're building up. Say it's a bit like how NXT does, where you can build up a number one contendership match about two episodes in advance, basically. They're not obviously pre-recording it, but they do that similar sort of thing. In 2 weeks, the number one contendership for the tag titles will happen. This will be the match, and you do a mini build for that. And then you have the Usos doing their shtick, which if I try to mimic, it would just be so racist, and I don't even want to go there. And then you've got the New Day, and you've got New Day, and you've got Harper and Rowan. Forgot my names there because names are hard, and they're facing off, and Brian is essentially doing the talking for them. And Brian, by the way, while he's doing this, he hasn't been fighting much. He's just kind of almost coasting to Mania when basically what happens with I'm trying to trip over myself here, but we'll get to that because he hasn't been fighting much. His title match isn't decided yet, but we'll get to that. So Brian is doing talking for him, and he says that you two are just disappointments like your old pal Kofi, or something like that. Something that really, really pisses him off, because they like Kofi. He's a nice guy, and it results in a big kind of pull apart brawl. Perhaps even Usos could get involved, I suppose. I mean, don't need to, but they could, because again, why not? And then we get to the number one contendership match. New Day, Harper and Rowan. Hopefully it's a good match. It's weird to say with Harper and Rowan because we know that they can put them on. We know that Harper is good. But it's almost like WWE didn't, particularly with the Bludgeon Brothers reign with the big hammers, that it just kind of almost didn't let them, which is weird. They just kind of gave them, said, "Hey, have 5 minutes and go wild." So we're not going to do that for this time. We're going to have them have a big, long 20-minute match because I reckon that would be cool. And eventually, it gets to the end of the match, and Brian tries to interfere, pulls the referee out, and whacks him with the wood and the hemp. That sounds like a euphemism. I don't know what for, but anyway. And then the Beard Brothers Beard Brothers. They're beating them down, and then suddenly, from the crowd, actually maybe not from the crowd, but suddenly one of the let's say Rowan gets hit by a steel chair from a guy in a hood. Who is it? Of course, it's Kofi. Kofi chases Brian away. Big E pins Rowan. 1, 2, 3. We're getting New Day versus Usos at WrestleMania because they deserve it. These two teams, they deserve it. Why not? Like we got so. Do you remember when we had it? I think it was at Fastlane last year. It's like, well, why didn't you not just move that forward? Because they deserve a big stage like that, and the matches are so good. And anyway, if I moan about things from last year and in fact this year, the problems with WWE, then oh boy, this podcast will be long. So we'll get to it. So Kofi has come back, and he's chased Daniel Bryan away. But Daniel Bryan again, he doesn't consider Kofi as a viable threat anymore because he's beaten him. Big air quotes there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull a little bit of story from Raw here. Is that technically cheating? Probably, but I mean, given how frequently Becky and Charlotte have gone over, it's not really that surprising. Because on Raw recently, there seems to be some teasers that Kurt Angle is going to do a retirement match of some sort at WrestleMania. He's been trying to say it, and then he got interrupted by Baron Bloody Corbin all the time. Stop, man. Anyway, and there's also been rumours that WWE want to do the Bryan versus Angle match at Mania, so we're going to play upon that. Bryan lays out the challenge one week. Next week, he stands in the ring, he waits for Kurt to come out, and Kurt does, and he does his whole kind of weird floppy wrist thing, which kind of looks like what happened if a conductor had no bones in his arms with the "you suck." And then I do quite like the idea of when they're doing the "you suck," it's just Bryan just turning to the crowd and says, "He does, you know." But that adds literally nothing to the storyline. I just wanted to put that in. And Kurt Angle comes out and he says, "So you want to face me at WrestleMania? Put that title on the line?" Nah, don't fancy it. And Bryan's like, "Mate, what? I'm sorry. That's not quite how these things are meant to go. I've challenged you. You're meant to accept." And he says, "Well, you see, the thing is, Bryan, as tempting as your offer is, I'm going to have to refuse because I happen to know somebody who deserves that shot a lot more than I do." And of course, it's Kofi. Matches and before Bryan has a chance to think, Kofi runs out, ground and pound, fighting him off. Match is made. Angle raises his hand, endorsed. Everybody is hopefully excited. And then you could probably do a couple more build-up things. I like the idea of having Kofi doing these sort of video packages showing him just trying to train and get himself in the best shape that he can, because this has to be his moment. I toyed with having it there being a career stipulation. Perhaps Kofi puts his career on the line for that title. I'm not going to put it in, but just know that I considered it, because ultimately, with this whole, basically, if AEW didn't exist, then I would do it, because it would be cool. But then people would then, if we did put the career thing, people would start speculating, oh, Kofi's going to the whole New Day, meanwhile, by the way, because I almost, just so I don't forget, Xavier is defending the US belt, and he is going to be in a WrestleMania match of his own he's going to have to do double duty. It's going to be a 6-person ladder match between him, Rusev, Nakamura, Mysterio, Andrade, and I suppose R-Truth. He didn't get his rematch in this hypothetical situation, so he'll be in there as well. Hopefully he's not scared of heights. That was never funny in the Money in the Bank, by the way. The whole, oh, I'm scared of heights, I'm scared of spiders. This is not funny. R-Truth, he can be funny, but just most of the time he's not. He's not. So anyway, so finally, 35 minutes in, we're at WrestleMania. And I sound like I've got a cold now, so apologies about that. I've suddenly come over a bit, munged up, but I'm going to press on. So at WrestleMania, and the opening match is Usos versus New Day. They come on, put on one hell of a start to a show, and the New Day, Big E and Xavier, win. And it's a big kind of happy thing. The Usos shake their hands. They could go over to AEW. Maybe they probably won't, but maybe it gives them the opportunity. And also, it'd be a nice deal. I think this, if I was looking long term, especially if the Usos did leave, I would have this be the last tag team title run New Day have, because I believe that puts them tied on 6 with the Usos, which I think would be a nice little thing to add to that story. The New Day got the final win, but overall, in terms of tag team success, they are equal. And then later on in the night, you've got Xavier in the ladder match, and Xavier is naturally very tired from the long old match that he's had, but he goes in and he tries his best, but he doesn't quite manage to do it. The US title is won, incidentally, by Rey Mysterio. You might have thought that I wanted to put all the gold in New Day, but I'm not going to, because well, as good of an underdog as Xavier Woods is, and where this story is going to go, I feel like him doing that, he isn't quite there yet. If you know what I mean, having the US title and the tag titles. So, but he gets a handshake from Mysterio after the match, puts him over, and Xavier Woods goes out, and he's going to be with his pal Kofi. Speaking of WWE title match, Kofi versus Bryan, and of course, I'm not going to pull the rug from under any of you, Kofi finally wins the big one. It is going to look, admittedly, it is going to look weird somebody else lifting that hemp belt, which, it's a bit, and also that's only been there for a couple of months, but ultimately this story, sometimes you've just got to do a story, and the best laid plans originally. In reality, I imagine Bryan will probably hold on to the belt for a while, but they should do this, because it'd be such a good moment. 11 years paid off, finally. Kofi wins a big one, and also I would make him one of the most notable Black World Champions, which would be nice to have. Be good for Good Morning America, because I think technically WWE count with Rock, which, I mean, I'm not even going to get into that, whether Samoan and that, and that's a minefield, but you know what I mean. It'll be a great little feel good moment in a show that realistically we'll probably have a lot of them, but it would be great. And Bryan goes away and he's like, oh god, I've been a dick. He doesn't turn face, but he just realises, oh god, I've been too much of a dick. Again, that adds literally nothing, but I just like the idea of him just looking, he's at the top of the ramp and he's like, for God's sake, what? You know what I mean. So anyway, SmackDown after, I think it might actually be the Superstar Shake-Up. I don't know. Actually, no, I think it's the one after. But we'll quickly, with the Superstar Stake-Up. Wow. Well, that's a Vince McMahon thing if I've ever heard one. It's Superstar Stake-Up. Oh, so much beef in the ring. So much. Anyway, so things to note in this storyline that happen is that all you need to know is Bryan and his beard buddies go over to Raw. you can reuse that hemp belt because he would naturally go into a feud with the Universal Champion, who would probably be Seth Rollins. Kofi, on the other hand, he's in the ring and it's a big celebration. It's a big feel-good thing. You've got balloons and pancakes and cereal and all other types of merch, unicorn horns and New Day things, and everybody's having a good old time. And it's great. And it's finally, it feels organic and it feels natural. It feels, ironically, given he's dethroned a vegan. And Kofi is at the top of the mountain. But this is wrestling. So what's a celebration angle to be without somebody crashing it? Well, who's going to crash it? Well, Kofi's in the ring. He's talking about this big thank you promo to everyone about how he's managed to climb the mountain, and over so many years he thought maybe he could do a thing where he considered giving up, and then he carried on. And then you hear this. Again, could put in the actual music, but that's effort. So you hear this. Boom. Undisputed Era. That's what that was meant to be. Undisputed Era come out, absolutely trashed the place. And Adam Cole makes his intentions known. I am coming for your title, baby. That was the most non-committal and unconvincing baby not only have I ever done, but probably ever heard when I listen back. But, you know, effort. And I think you can kind of see where this storyline is going. You have O'Reilly and Fish, and he said Kyle and O'Reilly. No, it's O'Reilly and Fish face Big E and Xavier. Xavier, I would actually, you know what? I'll put him in a triple threat with Mysterio and Roderick Strong for the US belt, and then you have Kofi versus Adam Cole for the WWE Championship, and Undisputed Era, picture shut out. Absolutely, just out the park. Is that right? I'm British. I don't know anything about baseball. Like, I was gonna, because you don't really hit it out of the parking rounders, because otherwise you've got to go out of the park to go and get the ball. It's annoying. But anyway, yeah. So I'd have the US title first. You have Strong pin Xavier. He wins the title, and also just the idea of Strong versus Mysterio in the time forward. That'd be very nice. And then basically from that point, immediately afterwards, you've got the tag match, and it goes very similar to Mustache Mountain versus Undisputed Era, because Xavier's had a match. He's already in. He could be injured, and they use that, and Red Dragon use that, and they get the tag titles. And then main event, load of shenanigans. It probably wouldn't be the main event because but you know what I mean. Loads of shenanigans. Undisputed Era do literally everything to Kofi. Just hit him with everything. Why not? Just go for it. And pin him, and Adam Cole is the WWE Champion. Now, there's an exact point where this turned from being realistic to fantasy booking, and that was that championship section. But why not? I'm going to embellish myself. Why not? It would be fun. So, WWE, your move. And I think that will bring us to the end of the podcast. So thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed it, you can subscribe or give us a like or something like that. And I would say like reviews and stuff, but it's not on other podcast stuff yet. But do that. You can. I think I'll set up some sort of Twitter account. I haven't actually set up a Twitter account yet. I'll put a link to it in the description though, because I will do it by that stage. And well, yeah, I hope you enjoy. I hope you stick around, because there's going to be more of these. Hopefully, it's slightly more coherent next time. But equal as much effort put in, because there's very little. And with that, thank you very much. See you next time.